In May 2018, my co-writer Casey Lonan and I published the first book in our YA fantasy series, Winter's Blight. The book, The Changeling's Fortune, was a first publication for Casey and a second publication for me, and now that we're coming up on the release of our 7th and final book in the series, I wanted to do a video series that would look at the publication of these books, and yeah, just kind of go into them because, good gracious, it has been a wild ride. In this first video, we're going to look at a few things that have, characterized the publication experience as a whole, including lessons learned. 1. The most important things when working with a co-writer. Casey and I had known each other for about 6 years when we first decided to write a series together and had been betas for each other's work previously, so we were already pretty, familiar with each other's writing style. It's really important to mention that, not all co-writers have the same situation that Casey and I do. There were no legal contracts involved because we both knew and trusted each other beforehand. For the majority of other co-writer situations, legal contracts are really important. But legal and money stuff aside, the most important things about working with a co-writer are, 1, having a shared passion for the series. It's got to be something that you both are just in love with, otherwise the person may lose interest. I think this is what happens to a lot of people who try co-writing with their friends, especially whenever both writers are young, because you miscalculate and you think you both love it, but one of you doesn't actually love it very much, and then the other person is either left alone with the series or winds up doing a lot of the work, some sort of cursed group project situation where, except you're not even getting a grade. That's just depressing. The second most important thing is a shared passion for writing itself. If you want to tell stories, but you absolutely loathe writing, then, you're not going to be very fun to work with as a co-writer, and you might want to just pursue other storytelling formats, and don't put your co-writer through that. That's not very nice. The third thing is shared values. Stories have themes and present messages and ideas. If your co-writer has beliefs that are fundamentally contradictory to yours, you may have a hard time agreeing on theme, which could destroy your project from the inside out. So there might be exceptions to this, but even if you both love the series and you both love writing, if you both want to do completely opposite things with a moral in the story, then that's obviously not going to work very well. The fourth important thing is the ability to loosen up and have fun. Making a series is a lot of hard work, but it should also be enjoyable. For us, it's been often enough crazy fun, to be honest. It's important that, you aren't sticks in the mud. Even if you're writing a series that is handling pretty serious stuff, you still want to have fun with it, in my opinion, because otherwise, it becomes a grind, and every now and then you do have to grind with writing, but not all the time, The fifth important thing is communication. This may seem super obvious, but it really is really important. Your co-writer needs to be able to communicate, with you and vice versa, not just about the stuff, but what do you think about the stuff, in the books? What do you feel about the stuff in the books? And so you also need to be able to communicate very clearly on expectation, the expectations you have in regards to things like output, scheduling, etc. Otherwise, that lovely, lovely monster called passive-aggressive resentment will just come along and be like, hey guys, I'm going to destroy your relationship. And the second topic of big lessons learned is the ability to plan. It is invaluable. This sounds incredibly mundane and obvious, it probably is. But honestly, the sheer amount of things that need to be done to both write and publish a book and a series and to get into readers' hands, it's it's way more than I would have thought before starting to publish myself. And I'm talking about self-publishing here. There's also a lot you got to do for, regular traditional publishing. So it ain't easy. It is necessary to be able to plan things like what date will we aim to finish the first draft by? What date do we turn in the manuscript to the betas? Who is going to contact the book cover artist? At what date do we need everything compiled for pre-orders? Who is going to pay for what? And loads more. Obviously, planning is important for any series, even if you're publishing on your own. But like, it is even more important with a co-writer, because if you don't plan together and agree together on a course of action and who's going to do what tasks, you might have a case where like you both order the same book promo, or you approach editing differently. Like you're focused on doing just line editing, and then your co-writer is like doing a comprehensive, you know, restructuring. She's still doing developmental editing, whereas you're getting into grammar. That would be awful. The third thing is just the importance of keeping track of how things went last time. So like whenever you're writing a series with each book, generally, in my experience, I learned a bit more about my process each time, like what parts of the publishing and the writing process take me the longest, which part takes me the shortest, which part I hate the most, which part I love the most, etc., etc., etc. It may be tiresome to keep records of things like how long it took to draft the previous book and things like that. But if you do, it will help create realistic plans that like, so, you know, you aren't pulling your hair out. Like, for example, if you found that it took 2 months to draft book 1, 3 months to draft book 2, and 2 months to draft book 3, then you can realistically say, like, okay, I will take 2.5 months to draft book 4. And I won't plan on doing it in just 1 month or 1.5 months, because that's not going to happen. Keeping track of how things went with the previous books, again, may seem like just so basic, but there is so much involved in publishing a book. There's just so many little things to do and so many little things to take care of. It can just be easy to lose track or just kind of forget about all those little details. But if you keep some kind of record on it and use that to help plan the next book in the series and how and when, and, you know, you're going to write it and draft it and edit it, get the cover art done, etc., etc., it'll just help make things just so much easier. And honestly, it's really great with computers because they kind of record some things for you. So if you have like your very first version or a draft, I guess, of the, like the outline for book 1, and you can say, okay, I made this first draft of the outline on, say, December, and then the final draft of the outline before we started drafting the main manuscript, well, that outline draft, I'm saying the word draft a lot, but basically the final outline was completed in March. So you know that, like, okay, it took us 3 months to finalize that outline. And like, that's not something you would have to like write down necessarily. You could just go back and look at your files. Having like multiple versions saved, or like having like, you know, the history of like, this file was made when, you know, you can get that by looking at like the properties of the files. Like, that's really nice. So yeah, it's like, it's not that hard to get some of this information. You just gotta like remember to do it. As mentioned, the rest of the videos this month of August 2022 will just be about the experience and takeaways from writing and publishing each book with a co-writer. So if that sounds like your jam, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!